Hi, I'm Mike Marino, and this is a brand new episode of Live from My Mother's Basement. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, or good afternoon or good morning, wherever you are in the world watching the show, Live from My Mother's Basement. Tonight, we're actually in the middle of nowhere. This is called Palm Harbor, Florida, at one of my favorite comedy clubs to perform in. It's called Snappers Grill and Comedy Club because you can get great food while you're watching the comedy show. They've been around for a really long time, 1988. And here we are, having some fun, getting ready to go live and do a show here at Snappers after playing Snappers Comedy Club in the other area,
That's
which
right.
is, what was it, Fort Myers. I figured this would be a great place to do a pre-recorded podcast with the legend himself, Vini Mad Dog Lopez.
Hey,
Yo, what's up?
How are you? Are you good or what?
I'm great, man.
You're always good, man.
This is the craziest thing because, I don't know, is this our third time trying to...
This is our third time trying.
third
you
time.
know, everything's got noise. So.
We originally did the show, I think in my house, it was too loud, then or something like that. Then we went to
The Wonder Bar.
The Wonder Bar
Yeah.
in
Beautiful downtown Asbury Park.
Asbury Park. And although we had a great time filming in there, there was just too many wait staff workers around making some clinging and clanging noises with the beautiful hot dogs that we did. We did get to have hot dogs.
Yes, we did. We ate good there. You know, they always have
Forgot
good
about that.
footlongs. You know.
Footlong. What do they call their food over there?
Good.
They call it good. No, they called that dog something. A Wonder Dog?
Could be a Wonder Dog.
A Wonder Dog, a Wonder Burger. Everything is a wonder. Because
And
they're
it-
still wondering where they get it from.
Well, I know where they get it, and I'm still wondering why. So.
They got a dog park. Is it a Wonder
Oh,
Dog?
And you know that's all going to disappear. That doggy park. 'Cause
Is it
they're
really?
Putting in the whole all the grounds around the place was sold now.
Oh, no.
So yeah, I don't know what they're going to do for Yappy Hour.
Oh, wow. We're here tonight to discuss the incredible career of one of the most legendary, iconic, most spoke about drummers in the history of rock and roll drumming on the planet. And I'm so lucky and blessed that he was willing to do the third recording without throwing me out the door. So this is Vini Mad Dog Lopez. We're going to find out why they call him Mad Dog. We're going to find out all about his career, and we're going to find out what it's like to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
It's something.
It's really something, man. I tell people all the time, I got Vini Mad Dog Lopez coming to the show, and they're like, isn't he a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer? I'm like, yeah, don't bother him. Don't bother, because everybody's going to want an autograph.
That's all right. I don't mind. I talk to everybody when I go places.
Well, Vinny, where are you originally from? Where were you born and your family and whatnot?
I was born in Neptune, New Jersey, right outside of Asbury Park, New Jersey. And, you know, my parents, they all grew up there. My great-grandparents now, my great-grandmother was a Abenaki Indian from Maine, Penobscot Nation.
You're an Indian?
Yeah, and then my great-grandfather, he was born in New Mexico. He rode the Pony Express, and he was in Wild Bill Cody's Wild West show.
Is that right?
Yeah, and he traveled around the world with that. And they met in Long Branch, New Jersey, because in there he built 7 big houses right on the beach. So when they would come off the road in winter, they all stayed in those 7 houses. And only one of them's still there. Only one of the houses.
Probably worth a
still,
lot of money.
You know, it's a state park now or something like that, you know. But, you know, so my family goes back a little bit in Neptune.
That's
They've been
great.
there a long time.
You know, a lot of people maybe watching wouldn't know exactly what Neptune is. Neptune's right next to Asbury Park, next to Belmar, next
Yep.
to all these great little beach towns. But Neptune had a lot of bars in it.
Oh, yeah.
And still to this day, there's one of my favorite places to go get my pork roll, egg, and cheese on a hard roll, which is Krenkel's Day-Night
they're
Food
right there.
Store.
They're
on
right
Route
there. They've been there a long time.
Long time. They still sell alcohol. You can get a cup of coffee, Pork roll sandwich and a shot of Jägermeister.
Yep. But they do have the best, cheese, hard roll.
Breakfast, because it's an old
Taylor
school
ham.
place.
I called it Taylor ham. You can slap me if you want.
Taylor ham is the product. Pork roll is what it is. This place that we're talking about is iconic. It's on Route 35 in Neptune, but you just go down the road a little bit, and that's where we first hung out a couple of times to get pizza with you and your friends and the band.
Vic's is there.
Not Vic's.
Oh, no. You know where we went? We went to Pete and Elda's.
Pete and Elda's.
And they do. They have the best thin crust pizza around. Pete and
Thin
Elda's
crust
does.
pizzas. Like you just go through pizza after pizza after pizza trying to fill your stomach because
Well,
it's nice and
if
thin.
you can eat a large one, they'll give you a T-shirt. If you, by yourself, they will give you a T-shirt.
Hey, what'd you do for that T-shirt? Oh, my stomach's killing me.
I'll have another.
These are really, really wonderful places down on the Jersey Shore. I'm sure in Neptune it was a lot different than it is now when you were growing up.
It was, because my father actually used to take me there to get pizzas when I was a kid. I'd go with my father, and it was quite the same as it is today, because you go in and you could sit where we sat and have pizza, but we would go to takeout, and there's only a little bitty cubby hole you go in there with takeout, and it's got bars so they can't get robbed, and it's something, but they're still the same.
It's a great
all
area,
good.
and I think you and I and some of your bandmates had another day where we were having some food and fun to the left of that. Kelly's.
Oh, and Kelly's bar.
Yeah.
Now there's an Irish bar for you right there.
I thought you were Irish. Now I'm finding out you're Indian.
I'm Lopez at times.
Lopez.
Lopez, yes.
Lopez.
Having a squiggle up there.
So when you were growing up in Neptune, when was it that you really decided, you know what, I want to be in the music business? I'm going to get my ass over to Asbury Park or wherever it was at the time that you decided that music is what you want to do.
Well, I actually, my Uncle Joe, he was a funeral director in Neptune for many, many years, the whole time I was alive. But he was also a VFW member there, and he was the chaplain, and they had a drum and bugle corps. So when I was 6 years old, I got in the drum and bugle corps. I didn't play drums, I played a bugle, and then I stayed in the drum and bugle, and I graduated to a valve bugle. And then my friend I met, because we went to Holy Spirit School in Asbury Park, he's my doctor today. His name is Augie Rioli, and he's still my doctor.
Nice Italian doctor.
Yes, he is.
Augie Rioli.
Rioli. Yeah,
Very
yeah.
oily.
Yeah, no. But he said, hey, one day after school, it was right around when we were in 8th grade, he says, listen, there's a teenage dance tonight at the USO Club in Asbury Park. Would you want to go? And it was right there, a couple of blocks from where the school was. And I had to wait for a school bus anyway, and the buses ran every half hour, so I didn't care. So I said, yeah, let's go. And we went over there, and as we're walking up the steps, I could hear the music playing, but it sounded like a live band to me. So, I looked at Augie, and I said, look, what's going on there? You didn't tell me there's a band here. He goes, oh, no, that's not a band. He goes, that's a guy named Buzzy that plays drums along with the records. And so we went in, and there was Buzzy doing his thing. People are dancing. There's soldiers over here. There's skinheads over here. There's stuff going on. So I kind of got enchanted by Buzzy, and I started talking to him. He had headphones, 2 turntables set up, and he had them cued perfectly, and he'd do it while he was playing. One hand he'd play, and didn't miss a beat. But he gave me a job with him, cleaning up, taking his drums down, putting them in the car, putting the records all back in the boxes they were in. And we go around to a lot of teenage dances. And Buzzy did all the playing, but every once in a while, he'll have to go to the bathroom or something. So he'd say, okay, you're going to play this one. So I'd sit down and do Be My Baby. I think that was the very first song I ever played drums on, was Be My Baby. And I'll never forget it, because the first time I sat down and played the drums, Buzzy wasn't there. biggest fight I ever saw in my life broke out right in front of us with the soldiers and the kids that were in here because it was a USO club, and oh God. So, but he showed me how to hold sticks, and then I got a practice pad, and I started accumulating 45s, oldies, not oldies like, real oldies from many years ago. And I started playing along with the records like Buzzy. So I learned. And then eventually, through Buzzy, I met a few fellas that had bands that needed a drummer. And I just started playing.
So you put down the bugle and said, you know what, I'm going for the drums.
Yeah, no. And see, while I was playing the bugle, actually, it was a drum corps. So there was these brothers. Dieter and John Abel was their name. I still remember their names. But when you went over to their house, they had a beautiful drum set up in the house. And they'd sit down and play because they were the drummers in the bugle corps. And I kind of heard it. And then one time, my cousin Ralphie, who just passed away, God rest your soul there, Ralphie, I went to his house when I was a kid. This is before I met Buzzy now. This is when I was little. And he had a drum set up in there. And it was glistening in the sun, and I really loved it. I didn't play it. Didn't get to do that till I met Buzzy. But that was, something in those days. It's
so
different.
You're influenced by a guy named Buzzy.
Buzzy Levinsky.
Get into the whole drumming thing.
Yeah.
And then you figured, okay, I'm going to be a professional drummer. And when did you start going to look for some bands or, have bands coming at you and saying, hey, you want to join our team and start playing at the clubs?
Well, that's what happened. We were at the Belmar Elks Pavilion on 5th Avenue, had teenage dances every Saturday night.
Is that the one that's out on the ocean?
It's right on the ocean. It's still there.
It's iconic.
Oh, yeah, no, it's still there. And it was a WMCA Good Guys show that was there. And through the night, I met a guy named Bill Chinnick. He had a band called the Storytellers. And I also met that night a guy named Sonny Rutledge. And they had a band called the Blazers. So Bill said to me, he said, listen, I'm looking for a drummer. You want to come and audition for the band? And I'm not a drummer. I sat down with Buzzy, played 3 songs maybe through the whole time I've been with him. But I like singing. I sang my whole life in Catholic school. And so Buzzy says, well, yeah, you can use my drums. We'll take you over there. So the next day we went over to Chinnick's where we were in Avon, New Jersey. And I set up the drums. There's the rest of the guys. Danny Federici from the E Street Band was in that band.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just how far back Danny and I go.
What, you guys like teenagers?
Yeah. And so I'm all ready. I don't know what I'm going to do. So Bill looks at me and he goes, all right, do Wipeout. I said, you got anything I can sing and play along with? He says, no, everybody wants to hear Wipeout. You do Wipeout. And I said, I don't do Wipeout. So I got fired right away, took the drums down. We never played a note.
Oh, shit.
Right out of there. Take a hike, get out of here. You're not the guy we want.
Sounds like the beginning of Mad Dog.
But then later on, Sonny Ken came around. His father was a friend of my father's, and he said, yeah, we're looking for a drummer. But when I got with Sonny, now we're going to do harmony. And I could just play a beat. And I stayed with Sonny. And we made a band called Sonny and the Starfires, and we were good. We were a good band. In fact, my Aunt Adele died a few years ago. Now, while we were Sonny and the Starfires, we had a manager from Monmouth Shopping Center, and somehow he got us a recording session up in New York City. So we went to New York City. I would record it on wax, right? On wax.
I don't even know what that means.
4 songs, which they transferred to something that's called a dub. And what that is a metal round plate, 12 inches, an enamel. And they transferred it on this enamel. And there was only a few of them around. My father had one. I guess my Aunt Adele had mine, the copy that I actually had. Well, just recently, my cousin Donna, going through my Aunt Adele's things after she died, found that record. So now we stopped in Mayberry, North Carolina on the way down to visit my cousin and my other cousin Craig, and she brought me that record. So I called Sonny as soon as we got down here, because he lives down here on Marco Island. And he says, I didn't even know they existed anymore. He said, he played his, and it's paint. It's enamel. And he says the paint started flaking off. That's how old it is. And I got it now. So
man, that's got to be worth like a lot of money.
I don't know if it's
Can you
worth
fix
anything.
it? Can you play it? Can you hear it?
Well, that's what I'm trying to do right now, is find somebody with audio, very good knowledge of it, that can lift the sound off of this thing.
There are all these things on the internet now where you can send in VHS copies and all kinds of cassettes and mini DVs, and they transfer it to a hard drive.
Well,
now, I don't know if they're going to have it for that, because that's really, really old.
No,
but
this is old.
Wouldn't it be great if they could, and then you hear it?
Well, one thing
sound,
I'm going to do.
Sound creepy.
See, one thing I'm going to do though is I'm not sending it anywhere. If somebody says, "Oh, I can do it," I don't care where they are. I'm going to hand deliver this.
Yeah,
thing
I would be
to
in
them.
a panic.
And
Because I have some antiques, and I don't like sending them anywhere, because you never know what's going to happen to it. Funny enough, I think I have this here that we're mentioning this type of thing. My cousin is Peter Lemongello.
Yeah, yeah.
And I recently have this new 45 Victrola. I fixed it, and this is one of his albums. He doesn't even have it. I have it.
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
look
no,
at
it's
that
pretty
yellow
cool.
thing that goes in the middle. Remember
yeah,
those
I
things?
got 'em.
And then you put it down, and then it would...
And
then
that's
you heard
got
the song.
That's got a few tracks on it there too.
I don't know what it has on it. I haven't listened to it.
That's a
but,
45, right? Yes, it is.
See, what I like to do, and if I could get some stuff from you, some classic stuff, you autograph it, you frame it, you put it on the wall, and you leave it alone.
Yeah, well, that's what's going to happen with this thing I got.
Yeah,
It might go in the Springsteen archives,
right.
for them to hold.
That's-
They have the
that's
new building
classic
now.
stuff.
So
What-
because
what new
Bruce used to
building?
come see. My father had one, right? And he lived in this trailer park in Farmingdale, New Jersey. Well, unbeknownst to anybody at this point, we're kids, Bruce's aunt lived in a trailer in the park. And there was one day where my father was playing that, and this young kid came by and said, "Wow, who's that?" So my father, "Oh, that's my son Vini. He's in Sonny and the Starfires, and he's the drummer." And
He's
my
a legend.
My father went off, But it was Bruce when he was a kid,
Oh, yeah?
and he used to come to Mama's Shopping Center where we were playing and watch Sonny play.
Oh, no
We
kidding.
didn't know that. We
Yeah.
didn't know he was there. We didn't know any Bruce Springsteen in those days, And just to mention, God rest Adele, Bruce's mom. She just passed. So
Oh, is that right?
yes.
Tell us the story about how you created the Steel Mill Band, and of course when you started doing the E Street stuff, and how you met all these guys.
Well, see, remember I told you I met this guy Bill Chinnick
Right.
at the teenage dance, and later on, Bill came up to me again because I was playing with Sonny. I was in a band called The Moment of Truth, which had Gary Talent in it. And then Chinnick had a band that needed a drummer, and they were called the Downtown Tangiers Rock and Rhythm and Blues Band. And I went up to Millburn, New Jersey, and auditioned, and I didn't fool around. I knew everything in one take. We did every song he wanted to do. Boom. So I got the job with that, and Danny Federici was in that band too. And we went out touring, and Bill and the bass player at some point, because we were doing this electric circus tour. It was like 45 cities we went to. And we were in Washington, D.C., and I guess Bill wanted Wendell, the bass player, just to sing, and he wanted to bring Gary Talent in the band as the bass player. But Wendell wasn't going for none of that, because Wendell liked to play bass and sing. So they had a fight, and the band broke up. That's normal, you know. So Danny and I still wanted to play together, so we went out. And we were doing Bill Chinnick's original music.
I was just about to say, what music are you playing?
No, we're doing original music. We're not doing copy stuff. We're not doing Midnight Hour or anything like that. So when the band broke up, the alternative is to go get in a band and you go play in the gin mills and do copy music, or find somebody that could write music.
Right.
So Danny and I went around looking, and then myself and Chuck Dillon, we went to this Italian-American club in Long Branch, New Jersey, right? And sure enough, Bruce and his band Earth, they were a three-piece band, and they were playing downstairs. And they were doing like Jimi Hendrix, and they were doing that kind of stuff. So they took a break, and I went up to Bruce, and I said, hey, my name's Vinny. He goes, yeah, Vinny, I've seen you play with Sonny. So he already knew who I was, And I asked him, now think about this for a second. I said, do you write any songs? This is like end of 1967, 68.
How old was everybody? Teenagers?
Yeah, teenagers still.
Right.
And he goes, well, I've written a couple. So I told him about my friend Tinker that we met, and I said, we play at the Upstage every once in a while, come down there. And a month later or so, there's Bruce and little Vinnie Roslin playing bass and Big Bobby Williams on drums, and they're jamming at the Upstage. Me and Danny walked in, and they were doing Inagata Davida. And Big Bobby, he did the drum solo there. He was real happy, broke shit. So after they got finished, because it was a jam place, it wasn't a place where you went and played with your band, you played with other musicians. Went up to Bruce and said, hey, here's Danny and me, maybe we can jam. So we went and saw the owner, Tom Potter, and he said, okay, yeah, you guys can do the last 40 minutes. And that's what we did.
Just jamming?
Just jamming. We didn't, just playing blues, playing whatever we were going to play. We were the only ones there, really. Few people. And after that, we went downstairs. They had the Green Mermaid coffee house down there. And we sat around, we decided, the four of us, because it was me and Danny and little Vinny and Bruce, could make a band. And we discussed about how we're going to do that. And Tinker had told me, he came from California, I met him in 1967, and he said, I was in a band called Moment of Truth, and we were doing copy music. And he says, Lopez, if you ever do original music, I come from California, I know them all, I know the Dead, I know all these people, and he did, he knew them all. And he said, but they do original things. If you do original stuff, come see me and maybe I can help you out. So that's what Bruce and I did. And then Tinker built us a PA, and then he had a truck, we had a car we could go around, because Tinker had all that. We didn't have any of that.
Right.
So that became Child, and then Steel Mill. That became the band. And we went to California and back on our own gizmos, no record company, no nothing.
Well, that's cool. So that's basically the way you guys all started to come together.
Yep.
Before you went into, let's say, Belmar and started creating what became the E Street Band?
Well, it took a long time for that E Street thing to come around.
How long were you Steel Mill?
Oh, till 1971, and then we had the Bruce Springsteen Band, and then we had that band kind of just fell apart because the world revolved around Steel Mill, really, for a bunch of people. But Bruce kept writing songs and going into different areas of music. And he kept asking me if I wanted to keep playing, and Gary Talent became the bass player. And then there was nothing for a while, but Bruce was playing on his own. And I worked in a boatyard. Right on the canal, Carver's Boatyard in Point Pleasant. And the phone rang there one day, and the owner of the boatyard came in and says, Vinny, there's this guy Bruce on the phone for you. He wants to talk to you. I said, oh, okay. And that's when Bruce said, listen, I just signed with Columbia Records. They want me to make a record. Do you want to play on it? And I said, what do you think I said? I said, yeah,
Fuck
I want to play on it. You know,
Let me give it a thought.
let's go. You know, so soon after that, we rehearsed in Point Pleasant. And soon after that, we were up in 914 Studios recording that first record, which took about a week, the whole first record, because we were well rehearsed. And on that first record, because Gary Talent and David Sanchez and those guys all lived in Richmond, because we had played stints in Richmond and they liked it down there, Richmond, Virginia. And so I was the only one there. So me and Bruce do a lot of the basic tracks on that first album. I played the drums, but Bruce would play the piano and then overdub the bass. A lot of that stuff is just me and Bruce. You know, and
What was
then
the
other
name of
people
that?
came.
What's the name of his first album?
Greetings from Asbury Park, New Jersey.
Okay, holy shit.
Yeah, you know, so that was all done basically one take. There was no doing anything. Time was money, and we knew what we were doing, and that's how it all came about.
So Greetings from Asbury Park had people from Virginia playing on it?
Well, Gary and Gary was from Neptune. I went to high school with him, and
Right.
David Sanchez lived in Belmar, but everybody at that point, we all kind of moved. I didn't want to move to Richmond, but I'd go back and forth, and sometimes the band would play down there. You know what we had, but they were down there. They lived down there for a while. So then they all came back, and we made something happen because Bruce, when the record, he needed other stuff. Gary came in, he had to write new songs for it. You know, I don't. That's songwriter stuff. I'm a drummer. I don't know anything about.
Well, as a drummer, when you're playing on an album that you're creating that became Greetings from Asbury Park, first of all, did they name it before you guys started playing, or was that an afterthought?
No, Bruce was walking down the Asbury Boardwalk, and he saw that Greetings from Asbury Park postcard.
Right.
And that became the cover
Yeah.
of the album. So, you know, that was Bruce's basically idea right there.
Right.
You know, he didn't ask me, hey, what do you think of this idea? You know, I don't know. I'm a drummer. They keep me in the back.
So, what was the collaboration like on the songs for Greetings from Asbury Park? Did he write everything, or
Yeah.
you guys collaborated?
Well, we actually had a rehearsal. For about a week we rehearsed in Point Pleasant at the Dan Electro Guitar Factory that was there. And soon after that, that's when they wanted us to record it. So people had gone back to Richmond, you know, and we started recording it. And as we did those tracks, that's when, you know, we had to bring them up and do stuff, you know.
So when you were recording this album, because I can't remember all the songs on the album, can you?
You mean off the top of my head?
Yeah. What are the hits on Greetings from
what do
Asbury
we
Park?
got? We got
There's a big trivia here.
my favorite is Lost in the Flood.
Right.
You know, that's kind of my favorite. And For You is one of the songs on it. Off the top of my head.
What was it? You could say it.
Blinded by the light.
Oh, Blinded by the Light. Yeah, that's right.
See, that's a historical song too, because was that belonged to you guys, or was that somebody else's song?
No, Bruce wrote that.
He wrote that song.
Yeah.
And then he let somebody else sing it in the future. Didn't somebody
No,
else?
well, Manfred Mann did a version of it
Right.
that became a hit, because
Right.
the one we did didn't become really a hit, you know. But Blinded by the Light, yeah. So that Madman Drummers, that was me.
Right.
So,
Iconic.
and Indians in the Summer, that's his baseball little league team.
Right.
He was on the Indians, you know. So it all meant something.
Yeah, he's an
But-
incredible writer. Then what eventually made you guys become the E Street Band? Because I remember you were telling me the story about rehearsing in Belmar on E Street.
Well, that was kind of a. David Sanchez lived on E Street. His mother and father, and we would go over there And what I remember wasn't really a rehearsal so much. Is we would, because we all of a sudden now we're on a tour to promote the album, and this thing was ongoing. But we'd come off tour, and there's David. We drop him off at his house. We all traveled the same way in a car. We didn't fly anywhere. So get to the point where now Clarence is in the band, and we go pick up David. Everybody else is in the car. And when we go pick up David, and his mother come out she go, "Oh, David's gonna be a couple of minutes. You have to wait just you guys want peanut butter and jelly?" And well, sure, and we'd go in and have peanut butter and jelly. But we waited a long time, a lot of times, on E Street for David. And in Clarence's book, this is part of his gray pages, but I'm making them a little more darker because that's what we did. We waited for David a lot. And I'm sure Bruce and David had some rehearsals on their own there.
Right.
But as far as the whole band rehearsing there, no, that didn't happen. We rehearsed in Deal at Gary Tallent's father. He had like a garage apartment, and there was a garage down there. We rehearsed in there. Had to set up a wood stove in there because it was cold during the wintertime rehearsing in there. So.
But is that why they came up with the name the E Street Band because of that?
We eventually, that's what it became, was the E Street Band. Now, while I was in the band, it wasn't the E Street Band.
Oh, okay.
That was after I was long gone from the band. They
is that right?
The E Street Band, But that's where the inspiration for it came.
Right.
Absolutely.
And how many albums did you play on in the beginning? So
I did the first two, and The Wild, The Innocent, and the E Street Shuffle.
The Wild, The Innocent, and the E Street Shuffle.
Yep.
And then toured with that album?
And then, well, during that time, we toured more with the first album. We did more dates in 1 year than James Brown did.
Oh, wow.
Just colleges opening for people and just going around. We do 14 days and have 3 days off. And then most of the time when we had 3 days off, we were in the studio recording the second album. So the second album, we still kind of went out, but at that time, Clive Davis, he was the president of Columbia Records, the CEO, I guess they would call him now, but he got fired, and for doing something shady. I don't know what. I have any idea. And this other guy took over. And the other guy's big name guy was Billy Joel. So Billy Joel got most of the publicity on that, where our album basically got shelved. Until recently, in the past few years now, people are starting to rediscover the second album,
Is that right?
Yeah. So that's what happened, and then after that, it's oblivion for Vini. Down, smile ear to ear.
What exactly happened? What is the story between you and why you left the band or decided to go on your own or do something different?
Well, I did. From the beginning, me and Danny started that band.
Right.
We brought Bruce in. Me and Danny and Bruce were the guys. So now, in those days, and in these days, right now, I'm not exactly the elephant that grabs the other one's tail and blindly leads myself down the road behind the other elephant. Because if something's going on, I'm going to say, hey, what's going on there,
Right.
So that kind of got me in trouble a few times by speaking up, saying things in my way when I was 22 years old, 75 now, so it's a long, long time ago. But it got me fired. And, Bruce himself fired me from the band at my house, which I verily threw him out of, And for a year or so, maybe 2 years, because he had a whole bunch of other stuff going on there, lawsuits and stuff going on. So we weren't in contact at all. But then finally we got back in contact, and it was like really nothing happened. We're still good friends. We still talk. But, hey, I became like a little cog in the wheel there.
Right.
Because I thought it was my band. But he's the songwriter, see? That's why me and Danny needed a songwriter so they could kick me out, because I'm not a songwriter, so.
Show business, if I could say this, because I'm in the comedy business. I've never been in a band, although I do play the drums with my brother once in a while for shits and giggles.
Sure, you do all right, too.
I know what it's like when you feel like you are the creator of something and you put people together.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, for some reason or other, they start going someplace without acknowledging you anymore, or,
Yep.
or whatever it is. You get shoved to the side and you start going, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
I'm the reason why you were in this room. Excuse
Right.
me. Excuse
Well,
me.
that was kind of the attitude I had,
Yeah.
When our manager took us aside, Bruce went somewhere else after the show, and he took the band aside and told us he was God.
Mm-hmm.
And from now on, because we would split our money, the whole time. That's what we did. We'd make $50. Everybody got their share of the $50 after expenses. That's the way we did it. And because we were making like $1,000 a night or something like that. And we'd split it. Well, not anymore. That was over, splitting it. In fact, we were going to make zero money. They were going to take care of where we're living, hotel rooms, that kind of stuff. But then, I didn't like that. That was the first one of my pegs that I
Right.
really didn't like.
Yeah.
So I called Bruce up because we had to drive home from Villanova, that night. It's still us in the car. Bruce was whisked off. He went home. But I called him at like 3 in the morning. And I said, Bruce, what the fuck's going on? I said, we're going to make nothing now? You mean when we go on these tours, I can't come home and take my girl to the drive-in? I can't get a pizza? And he says, what are you talking about? Because he didn't really know, I don't think. Because he was splitting it with us, don't forget. He always
Right,
split
right.
it with us. And so I told him what the manager said. And then we started getting $35 a week apiece. Cash money. Really made us feel good. And then later on, when the second album came out, we started getting $85 a week apiece. A little better.
Holy shit.
But, me and Clarence now, you see, me and Clarence and Danny were kind of the bad guys in the band. If they thought of bad ones, it was us guys. And because Clarence and I, we're staying in a nice hotel. Yeah, it's good. And they'd have a restaurant. So me and Clarence would go down in the afternoon and go to the restaurant and order like surf and turf. Yeah. Bring it. And those oysters look good, don't they, Clarence? Yeah, they're real good, Lopez. They're good. And then we'd get the bill and we'd sign it to the manager's room. So we started getting notes, no more surf and turf, Like Bruce would walk by and he's eating like a Twinkie, and me and Clarence got oysters. So we got in trouble for that. Little things like that build up over time, and they say you can't do that. And that's all there is to it.
There's so many difficult obstacles in show business alone, especially when things are going great. Somebody seems to want to take charge and throw a wrench in the works. It happens to me all the time. I could be touring with a bunch of comedians that I like, and all of a sudden maybe they blow up bigger than me, and then I can't get them on the phone. And I was like, hey, come on, man, I hooked you up with over here. You can't hook me up with over there. But that seems to be the standard in this shit.
You just got to move on. Like right now in my life, I look back and laugh at it, because it's not important. Maybe back then it was important to me or whatever, but as soon as I was out of the band, I was in another band.
Right. So what did you do? Where did you go?
I just kept going. I just kept playing. We did cover material. First band I got was Cold Blast and Steel, we were called. We had 2 drummers, a bass player, and a guitar player.
Oh, wow.
And I sang. And we had Ricky DeSarno on guitar, John Larachi on bass, and Steve Schreger was the other drummer. And we played illustrious places like the Riptide in Point Pleasant, and we played at the Stone Pony on Wednesday nights. We were one of the first bands that played in the Stone Pony in 1974, along with Colony and those kind of bands, but just keep going.
Well, I've seen you play many different places on your own, and they're always packed. You got big fans. Everybody comes out. Every time I went to the Wonder Bar to see you perform, the place was packed.
We have fun. The name of our game is, if we can't have fun, we're not going to do it. So let's just have some fun. It's got to be fun. And now we all sing. We all get to do songs. Gary, our guitar player in the Winos, he writes songs. John Bryce, the bass player, he writes songs. I don't write songs, but I do. When people go, "Oh, Vin, play some Bruce," so I do Steel Mill when we play.
Right.
And people don't get to hear that stuff all the time. They can hear it on a bootleg or something, but they don't get to hear it live. And we've edited and did stuff to the songs, but they're the basic songs. Even Bruce, told me, he says, "Yeah, you're doing them pretty good." He liked them. So,
where can people find classic Steel Mill songs?
Just
Is
online,
it on the internet?
Just online, really. I have my CDs that I did, and I have them with me. They're just with me. They're not online or anything like that. But Bruce gave me permission to do the Steel Mill stuff. And but you can go on YouTube and find stuff.
Right.
Because there's one good one that I like is Live from the Matrix. And that's in San Francisco when we went out there in 1969. We just went out there, but we got a job, and we were supposed to open for Elvin Bishop. And the club held maybe 50 people, maybe 60. So we're expecting to get a crowd and stuff, but Elvin Bishop canceled. And then we are the opening act for this other band called Jonathan Goodlife. So this writer from the San Francisco Examiner came to interview and do a review of Elvin Bishop. But he heard us, and he did his whole review on us. And he said we were the biggest thing since the Moral Castle. But we got in the San Francisco Examiner.
Wait a minute, you're gonna have to tell everybody what the Moral Castle is.
It's a ship that caught fire out at sea and washed up in front of Convention Hall in Asbury Park in the 30s.
There's pictures all over Asbury Park about this,
yeah.
otherwise you wouldn't even know. It's kind of creepy, and you see people standing around it.
Oh yeah, it was right on the beach, and it took them a while to get that out of there, I bet.
I wonder how they even get it out of here. You got to pray for a storm, please.
But that's and we got that review, and not that it really did anything for us, but we played at the Matrix another 3 or 4 times after that, the little bitty club, and people started to come see us, but that's basically that.
Are you spending any time down around the Jersey Shore anymore? Because I know you're here in Florida a lot, but I used to see you all the time down in Asbury, and we would have a lot of fun. What are you doing?
We go down every once in a while.
Snow hopping, whatever they call it there? Or?
Well, I'm a snowbird, I guess you call it that. Dawn and I, we come down here from November till May, sometime, in there. And then we're back up in Jersey from there. And my band, the Wonderful Winos, we play. We play at the Wonder Bar. We're playing at the Chubby Pickle coming up. We're playing at the. We're
playing the Chubby Pickle.
Yeah, the Chubby Pickle in Lang Highlands. We playing at Pete's Steakhouse out in Hamilton, and we play very illustrious places. Christopher's Pub down in Toms River. We play down there, but we get around to the Jersey Shore, and past few years I haven't done Light of Day just because the pandemic and stuff took over, and now it's for me, I don't know, it's kind of scary to fly. I don't really
I'm flying a little too much.
I don't like it, and I don't really want to, so
yeah,
we'll see. They want me to go back to Europe. I've been doing the Europe tour for a while, and I don't know. This could be my last year doing it if I go. I got to make up my mind at some point here.
You might as well go. You're healthy, you got time, and you got fans. Tell everybody where they actually can find you on the internet.
Well, on my Facebook page.
Facebook
You
is
know, Vini Lopez, ViniLopez, Facebook page, and I'm there. You'll find a picture of me and Dawn when you look at it. And
might even be a picture of me in there, pictures with him too.
Hey, I think we can do that.
Yeah, because I've been fortunate enough. I did your comedy roast a long time ago
Oh,
with
you
all the
did?
boys from Asbury.
You were the only one nice to me.
I wasn't going to get the man who's paying me to get angry at me.
I told.
I had fun hosting Light of Day, and that's where I got to meet a lot of cats that you're friends with, which was fun for me. And I remember being on stage and listening to you and your friends making fun of me while I was performing.
Oh,
Like, I can
yeah,
hear
we're back.
you.
Yeah, we're back there. We were giving you.
But I'm bummed. I don't do that.
My favorite was when Steve Trevelise, he got done with me, and he didn't really kill me. But when I got up and I talked about him, I said, Steve, look at you. You're a famous DJ. You're dark and handsome. When it's dark, you're handsome. Got to do stuff like that.
Steve Trevelise, 101.5, New Jersey. So
That's
hopefully he's still
right.
doing what he's doing.
He is,
And
he is.
Big Joe Henry.
Oh, Big Joe.
A lot of
was
classic
there.
guys.
Whistler was there. All
You
them
don't talk
guys.
to Paul anymore?
Not really. He keeps to himself. He plays a little bit, but
Where is he?
I'm not sure. I think he's still in Asbury.
Paul Whistler and you brought me to Pete and Elder's.
That's right.
This is quite some time ago. It was a lot of fun.
Yep.
And I did see you guys go perform. What was the name of that group?
Well, what were we called? We were called.
That many groups you played with, you can't remember?
Dog Whistle.
The Dog Whistler?
We were called Dog Whistle. Yep.
Dog Whistle.
Dog Whistle. And it means nothing.
Yeah, I'll say. You plan on going down to Asbury and coming in the spring and summer of 2024?
When we get there, we'll be going down to Asbury. We're going to go down a lot this year.
Yeah,
see
I
what's
hope.
going on. We'll be at the Wonder Bar. I don't have any dates or anything yet, but we're working on all of that stuff. So usually we play a couple times a summer at the Wonder Bar, and that's about the only place we really play. At Danny Clinch's Transparent Gallery, which is there, we play there sometimes too, and that's mainly just to play and have fun.
I like when I'm part of the festivals and you guys are all doing the music and I crack some jokes from time to time, make some announcements. One of my favorite things to do is, of course, Italian festivals. We are sitting here at Snappers Comedy Club in Palm Harbor, and a friend of mine dropped by. I want to do a real quick plug. His name is Joe Camerieri, and he came up with this thing where you don't have to go to a feast or an Italian festa to get Zappalas, the Zappalas that we all know and love that we had since we're kids, and then we got older. He said, you know what, stay home, buy it from me, and you can have it at your house. And you make it. He actually came on my podcast once. We made it down in my basement, and they're delicious. You get the white powder, it goes all over your face. You get the nice, oily Italian donut, they call it, for the American people. But this is a bag, and Joe came here this afternoon to bring a bag to give it to the legend, Vinny Mad Dog Lopez. So here's your bag.
Oh, all right. I got it.
And
Right
I'm going to plug it one more time right here because I got a bag too.
Yeah.
Isn't that nice? You can get it on the internet. All you have to do is go to CamereriZappalamix.com. Did I say that right, Joe?
Yes, sir.
CamereriZappalamix.com. Put in promo code Mike Marino Live, and he'll give you a bit of a discount. But you didn't hear it from us because it's in the afternoon and we're in the middle of somewhere in Florida. You understand?
Yeah.
He said, yeah. All right.
See, me and Buzzy used to go, we drive up from Asbury Park, and we drive all the way to Greenwich Village to go have empanadas in the afternoon and then find some Zappalis.
Empanadas.
That's what we did, yeah. That was our routine.
I was never really an empanada guy unless I smoked a lot of weed. Then I went to the 7-Eleven and got it.
That did help,
These are delicious. You got to love a nice Italian Zappala. I mean, when it's cooked right and it's nice and moist and you put on that powdered sugar, it's just delicious. You dunk it in your coffee, or you have it the following day when they're a little on the cold side, and then you dump it in your cappuccino. That's
Okay.
that's my thing.
I'm trying it both ways.
Yeah, so we got a little gift for you. I would like everybody to know more and more about what's going on in your life and your career, because he is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think one of the most difficult achievements in the world in the music business is to be acknowledged by the Rock and Roll Music Hall of Fame. Nowadays, if you ask me, some people get in it just too late. They should have been in it a long time ago. Why it becomes to acknowledge it now? Sometimes they acknowledge bands that aren't even alive anymore. They're not even going to know about it. Their siblings find out, even if their siblings even know about their family, you know. So tell us about how it all happened and what year.
Oh, God, 2014.
2014. It's not even that long. It's 10 years ago.
It's 10 years, you know. And I got an email from John Landau. Said the band's going to go into the Hall of Fame and they want you to go in with them, which I, you know, was quite honored, you know. And then, you know, I said, okay, and then they put me in contact with people from the Hall of Fame, and they came to my house and wanted to take everything, you know. And that's all right. I don't mind. I gave them a bunch of stuff, you know. But now I go out there, the winos, our wonderful winos, we play out there once a year if we can, you know, when we can. And but they made me like an ambassador to the Rock Hall. So, because I go a lot of different places, I meet a lot of different people.
Where is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
It's in Cleveland.
Cleveland, Ohio. Okay.
Cleveland, Ohio, right on the lake. And Dawn and I went out there the first time. What was it, in February or something like that? Before we were inducted. And it was cold in Cleveland. You knew you were there when you walked out the door of the hotel. I mean,
so what do they do? You know, the whole band, everybody goes out there. Bruce goes out there. They have a party for you. They unveil something. What is it?
Well, we were inducted in Brooklyn,
right?
At the what's it called? The Barclays Center, and they had it. It was a few days thing. They sent a car for Dawn and I. We went up, nice hotel we stayed in. The night before the actual inductions, they had a dinner for everybody at a place in New York City. And we went there. And then the day of the show, of course, you have to rehearse. And it was quite seeing the stages, because every act had their own stage. And they'd wheel this one on, and then they'd play, and it would go that way, and then the next stage would come up. And they'd replug it was pretty incredible being there. And it was the first time for E Street that there was two drummers on stage at the same time. And story about that is because we're going to do our sound check now, you know, the little rehearsal you do. And they had two drum sets, so one was down here and one was a little bit up there. So I go to the one down here.
I was going to say, which one do you go to?
No, I went to the one
down below.
Down below.
Oh, okay.
And Max goes, no, you're up there.
Oh, yeah?
So he put me up there. And that was the one that had Clarence's saxophone in front of it, and it had Danny's accordion in front of it. And that was, you know, pretty wild for me. And we did a few, we did Kitty's Back, we did we do East Street Shuffle, I think, and we did The River, the songs that we did. But, you know, and my object, I haven't been in a band in 40 years or more. So we're in the dressing room, and I'm standing there with Max, and I'm going, you know, hey, Max, look. You've been in this band doing this stuff for all these years. I said, when you just play them, I'm going to be right there behind you. I'm back everything up. And Van Zandt heard me. And he goes, what are you talking about, Vinny? I said, well, you know, he's been doing it. I'm not. He goes, Vinny, when it comes to those licks, you do your licks. And he's poking me in the chest. So I did my licks, and it was fun. And it was fun, you know, and I still remember them, you know.
Holy smokes.
And it was just a fun evening, fun thing to do, you know, and we all got to hang out at the end. There was a big party there that I guess Rolling Stone threw.
Right.
You know, we got to meet Bill Murray, And Bill Murray comes up to me, because I went up to him, and we saw him. He was singing like right in front of us. So he come up to me, and all he wanted to know about was caddying, was golf. That's all he could talk about. And then he comes up to work. I said, okay, Bill, we're sitting up here over here in the veranda area, come up when you get a chance. So finally, he comes up there. He's got a fellow with him, and he goes, no pictures. And he's going like this, and he says hello, and then he sees that one, Dawn.
Right.
He says, you want to take a picture? So he grabs her. He's getting pictures with her. He liked Dawn. So, but it was nice. It was nice seeing those people. Hall and Oates got mad at us because because I guess our speeches, there was 10 of us, and mine was 1 minute and 3 seconds long. So everybody's waiting for their chance to speak. But David Sanchez got up there first, and he talked for like 10 minutes.
Oh.
And they said, only a minute, come up with a minute, So they had to rush to get the stuff off and whatever. And I think what they did, somebody in the crew didn't plug Hall & Oates monitors in quite right or something. And they said it was because we spoke too long, on the mic in front of everybody.
Did you get to meet Darryl Hall and John Oates?
One of them. Which one did we meet, Dad?
I think Oates.
Yeah, we met John Oates. He was coming down the elevator with us. Yeah,
right.
I remember this. And he's this big, and I'm my big, and I looked at him. I said, "Hey, how you doing?" I said, "Listen, I'm Vinny. I'm with the E Street Band. Let's have a shot after the show."
Oh man.
So I kind of gave him a dig.
So it was you guys, Darryl Hall and John Oates. Who else was in that year?
Oh God, well, Glenn Fry.
Right.
He sang Linda Ronstadt. What's his name?
Cat Stevens.
Oh, Cat Stevens was in the show. Now David played with 2 bands. He played with I can't think of the guy's name. A very famous performer.
Sting.
Who?
Sting?
Oh, yep, they were there. All of these guys were there and all singing. And this is the only show, because Bruce brought me to a few other shows. He brought me to when he inducted Roy Orbison. I was at that show, and they had a big jam session at the end. I got to play in that. He brought me when the E Street Band, or he got inducted, not the E Street Band. When Bruce got inducted, I went to that show, and it was a big jam at the end. But this show that we did, there was no jam at the end because we talked too long.
Don't let the band get the microphone. Well, this is really great. I'm glad you came over today to share these stories with me and everybody who's going to be watching live from my mother's basement. Finally, we got it down.
Yeah.
It's nice and quiet in here. We are in Snappers Comedy Club, ladies and gentlemen. Is a very, very well-known comedy club in Palm Harbor, Florida. So I hope you'll come down and visit all the great many comedians that perform here. I want to thank Vini Mad Dog Lopez for coming on live from my mother's basement, especially here in Palm Harbor, where we're kind of out of our element, which I'd like to say is Asbury Park.
Hey, thank you, Mike.
But we're traveling.
Thank you, Mike Marino.
Thank you so much for coming over.
You're the
Once
guy.
again, folks, look him up on the internet. See some of the classic stuff. He has an incredible career with a long, long history of being in the music industry, and he is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's also an ambassador. We got to get going. I want to thank my producer, Tatiana Blue Shell, for always making sure we put on a great podcast. She contacts all the guests, and she makes sure everything gets done just the way it's supposed to be. Remember my motto, let's make America Italian again.
Yes.
You don't know nothing, you don't see nothing, and you don't say nothing. And how do I say goodbye to my audience with my guest? By saying the same thing all the time. Don't take no shit from nobody.
That's right.
You ready?
Don't take no shit from nobody.
Hey folks, I hope you're enjoying watching my podcast live from my mother's basement. We're having a lot of fun, and I'm going to have a lot of great guests on the show in the future. So if you like it, hit like. You could also leave a comment. You could subscribe to my YouTube channel and watch other funny videos. And you could also listen to my podcast on your favorite podcast app like Spotify and iTunes.